Hi, my name's Daddy. I play Clash of Clans sometimes. Do you know what? Should we do something other than Clash of Clans? Why don't we make some beautiful fougasse bread? There's nothing I like better than making some bloom bread on a Sunday afternoon. So one of my great loves when I was younger was baking, really, because the problem is that the bread that we get today is usually supermarket sold, and they make it such that it's fresh in the shops. There's a whole distribution thing before it gets to the shops. Share with you really was how you could very simply make some delicious fresh baked bread at home, and this is something that you could do. You could do with your kids. Or you could do with your brothers and sisters or your parents. It's just so simple and foolproof. And it's a love of mine, and I wanted to share with you. So all we really need is some warm water. Mustn't be scalding hot. Some fresh, strong white flour. Some fresh yeast if you can get hold of it. And most bakeries, sell fresh yeast. Otherwise, just follow the instructions on the dried yeast, and every supermarket sells dried yeast. And then of course salt. Well, you won't need as much as this, but we're going to go through the quantities in a minute. But the first thing that we need to do with any cooking is to wash our hands. So if you excuse me just a second, when our hands are washed, let's weigh out the ingredients together. I'm also going to put them on screen as well, and in the notes, so that you can follow them fairly simply. So move those across. Okay, so the first ingredient is going to be the flour. Now, the most important thing to do with the scales is to tare them. So tear takes away the weight of the bowl. Now, we're going to use 500 grams of flour. I'm going to put, and I'm aware that I've got some viewers from the US, so I'm going to be putting the weight in ounces, and that should be on the screen in front of you right now. So 500 grams fresh flour. I don't need a spoon to do this, but if the camera can see that, we're just going to take 500 grams. Where are we now? Oops, there we go, 502. That works fine for me. So 502 grams of flour. We can put that over there. Now, we're going to take 15 grams of yeast. So again, we're going to tear this down. That takes away the weight of the dish. We're going to 15 grams of fresh, beautiful yeast. Now, the yeast is strange because yeast is alive, and you've got to take good care of it. So it needs to be refrigerated during the time when you're not using it. Otherwise, because what happens is it reacts with the sugar in the flour. And it's 16, that'll be just fine. Okay, so we've got 16 grams of yeast, and we're going to get 10 grams of salt. So the yeast, what it does is actually creates carbon dioxide, which creates the bubbles, and it's the bubbles that we really like. You on 0? Okay, that's on 0. So 10 grams of, this is actually granulated rock salt. You can really use any salt that you like. 11. 12. Let's take that away a little bit. There we go. So we've got 10 grams of yeast. Sorry, 10 grams of salt. So 500 grams of flour, 15 grams of yeast. We've got 10 grams of salt, and then we've got, well, I'm not going to weigh it, but there's 350 millilitres of warm water. It can't be hot water, or it's going to kill the yeast. So let's put them all together in a bowl. Well, let's show you the next step. Okay, right, so we're going to put all the flour in. There we go. So the flour's the base, really. And then what we're going to do is make a nice little well in the middle, and we're going to crumble in the yeast. So this is loads of fun, really. Just grind it in your hands, make it nice as fine as you possibly can, and then that's going to go into the bread, into the flour. And as I said, the yeast is going to create the carbon dioxide bubbles that create this lovely velvety taste of decent bread. And the do you know what? It actually tastes remarkably unlike anything that you can buy in a supermarket. It's very, very cheap as well. I mean, a bit of yeast like this costs I don't know, much less than £1 really. So we've got yeast, we've got flour. Now we need to put in some water, all nicely mixed before you do that. So a little bit of water in, start to mix it round, get a nice doughy consistency. Get the water to bind, the flour to bind in with the water. Right, it's starting to get really messy, which is fun. Right, I'm going to just scrape my fingers a little bit. Okay, so from the salt, we start to just sprinkle in little bits of salt into the mix. Put the rest of the salt in. I bet you never saw Daddy's hand looking like this. Now, it's really important that you don't put too much water in, because if you do, you're going to have to put extra flour in. That means you're going to have to also put more yeast in and a little bit more salt, and the whole thing just sort of balloons out of proportion. So what I'm really just doing is, I don't know if you can see that on the camera there, but you have this lovely doughy consistency. Let's get it off my hands. This is why it's so important to wash your hands beforehand. Okay, there we go. Scrape this off my hands. And definitely, clash your clans with bread at the same time. It's not a good idea. You're going to get your iPad all doughy. Really don't want to do that. So let's get this off. Right, then what we need is a nice doughy ball. And then after that we need a small child. We can possibly find a small child. Okay, there we go. So we've got a nice doughy ball. Just like that. We'll put some flour down. Surface does get a little bit messy, but who cares? There we go. Right. Right, so this is the bit where having a small child handy comes in really handy. So say hi, son.
Hi, son.
Right, okay. So we're going to just cut this in half a little bit. So you're going to get half, and I'm going to get half. Now, we're going to knead it. So we need to break it all down, fold it over, and just pound it. Pound it as much as you can. Go on, give it a good whack. Because the problem is that this is green dough, so the green dough needs to be, well, it needs to be all mixed in, basically. It needs to be stretched, and the best possible way you can do it is doing it like this, because it gets lots of oxygen into the bread. There we go. Go on, son, give it a good pound. There we go. Just imagine it's your brother. You're doing a great job there. Excellent. Yeah, whack it over. And just fold it over like that. There we go, and another whack. Now, the more energy you put in, basically, the better the bread tastes at the end of the day. So, that's why having helpers really, really, really does help. There we go, we're going to fold it back again. Is that good fun? You don't want to get too much flour in if you can avoid it, but it's, just sort of, so it doesn't stick too much. Okay, so really 5 to 10 minutes, as long as you like really. It's great exercise. You know, I didn't get to become a bodybuilder by not baking. I'm actually not a bodybuilder, far from it. So I've been doing it for about 5 to 10 minutes. I had a load of fun with my kids. We're going to cut this up and put it to 4. We're going to make 4 fougasses from the one. So sort of get it roughly, roughly equal and surround, so we're going to just cut it into quarters. So it's a nice surface, and really don't want to annoy mummy, so I won't push too deep. So this is a non-stick oven pan thing with a tiny little bit of oil in it. We're just going to be using this for it to raise. So we're not going to actually put it in the oven in this as it is. So we need to let nature do its course, and those beautiful yeasty friends of ours are going to be busy, you know, expanding and growing, and it's the sort of the natural process that's going to happen. You don't get that with supermarket bread, unfortunately. They just use lots of energy to get air into there, and you know, it's the taste that you get from proper gourmet bread that you don't get from anywhere else. Okay, so I've got 4 roughly equal nuggets there. I'm just going to cover it with cling wrap a little bit. I might just move it a little bit further away so they don't sort of come into each other. What you mustn't do is leave it overnight and forget about it, because that has been done before. I'm not sure what the Americans call this cling film. Maybe if you do, you could sort of leave it in the comments. That'd be really handy to know. But we call it cling film in the UK. I'm sure you can get it in other countries. So I'm not going to push that down too hard, because this is going to grow and this is going to get bigger. And the only reason we're putting this cling film on it is so that it doesn't dry out, so the top crust doesn't dry out. So I'm going to see you in about an hour's time. So bye for now. Right, okay, so it's been just over an hour and it's quite nice and warm here in the UK today, so it's risen. You really don't want it to rise any more than this, or it's going to be very difficult to work with. So just going to take the cling film off, but you don't want to push the dough down too much. There we go. Okay, so here's where we get to be really creative. So we've got a lovely piece of dough. Now, remember not to push it down, but you want to stretch. You can stretch it, it's fine. Now we're going to be creating, because it's fougasse, we're going to be creating lots of strands of dough. So let's have a look. So I hate actually removing material, removing dough. I'm going to give it a go. So that can be the basket. Now I don't know if you guys remember, but I actually do play Clash of Clans sometimes. I do like balloons. So I was just wondering if perhaps we could create some balloon fougasse. What do you reckon? There we go. I don't want to push too hard, so I'm going to scratch the surface. That's not a good thing. Really don't want Mother getting angry because her lovely work surface has been demolished, but there we go. So, some beautiful, beautiful fougasse here. And this is live dough, remember, so this is still growing, still expanding. We used to have this thing in the UK called Blue Peter. They tried to make things live. It was never really wonderful. It always used to look a little bit sort of homemade. And that's the beautiful thing about homemade bread, is it doesn't really matter how it looks. Your family will be so happy that you've actually bothered. That's the main thing. And I can guarantee you, if you follow this recipe, it's going to taste absolutely wonderful. So whilst I'm doing this, at the moment I've got the oven heating up to really the maximum temperature that the oven can heat up to. I mean, domestic ovens normally go for about 230 degrees centigrade, but you know, the biggest gas mark that you've got, or you know, whatever Fahrenheit it happens to be. So does that look like a balloon? I don't know, I think we probably need to break this one up a little bit as well. There we go. So it's fairly even. I don't want any large areas, otherwise it just expands like a big bread roll. There we go. Okay, right. We've got a pizza tray here with it's got like a plastic cover. Now here's where it all gets messed up. There we go, that wasn't too bad. So it's supposed to look like a balloon. What do you reckon? Almost. We can use these little bits here as little tasters for your kids, or for your brother and sister, or for your mum and dad, whatever you want to do. There we go. So that's our fougasse, and that's going straight into a maximum heat oven. Okay, so what we're going to do before we put it on is just sprinkle a little bit of natural rock salt that we used before. We'll just brush it off. Okay, so the oven's warm enough. In it goes. I'll see you in 8 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so you're using a dry towel with very dry hands so you don't burn yourself. Out it comes. And close it as quick as you can. You don't want to leave that open. Now what we've got is some gorgeous fresh baked balloon bread for gas. So there it is. Just dust off the salt before you eat it, and you have some absolutely gorgeous bread that's great with garlic butter or great with cheese or whatever you choose to have it with. The most important thing is sharing it. Would you like some? Nice.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.